מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בינו דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך וגיא מוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד שונאי, דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm. Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are all gathered here this morning, sadly, to say goodbye to Shirley Garfinkel of blessed memory, who was known to the Jewish people by her Hebrew name, Sharna bat Israel ve'elka, Zichrona livracha. She was the daughter of Israel and Alice Kasloff of blessed memory, the wife of Irvin Garfinkel, the sister of Zach Kasloff and Sarah Golambia of blessed memory, the mother of Riza and Jerry Webb, and Harvey and Lee Garfinkel, and the grandmother of Elkie and Noah, Ilana, Alex, Eva, and Max, and the great-grandmother of Harley. Shirley passed away on February 28th, peacefully, at the age of 91. Shirley was a woman devoted to her family. Perhaps she learned to enjoy and appreciate family from her parents and grandparents, all living in the same home. She grew up with all the benefits of having family around. For some people, having family around all the time is a burden. For Shirley, it was the supreme blessing. For those with a good memory, you might remember that I started the funeral of Shirley's sister, Sarah Golambia, with the exact same words. And that's because they both learned from an early age the importance of family. Shirley was very close to all her family, but especially to her sister Sarah. Shirley was a devoted friend, loved to have lots of friends. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, chapter 1, tells us to acquire for ourselves a friend. In Hebrew it says, Kneh lecha chaver. Being that the need for friendship is a basic human need, existing in people of all races since time immemorial, our sages do not seem to be revealing any new ideas or instructing us to do something we wouldn't have done anyway. But upon examining their words more carefully, we see that their every word is imbued with wisdom, and like all their insights, everything they say reveals a depth of understanding we might not have perceived on our own, and from which we have much to learn. The sages are telling us that the purpose of a friend is to expand our and their personalities, and to broaden ours and their way of thinking. It is precisely the areas in which we don't think the same that offer us room to grow. Shirley was famous for her smile, always smiling at people, insisting that her children should do the same. By doing so, Shirley was following our sage's advice, perhaps without even knowing it, because this is something that the rabbis recommended as well. Smiles are a bridge between two hearts. When you smile at another, you recognize their humanity. You signal that they matter. You lift moods. You actually brighten their world. Our face and our expression is an important part of others' environments. We spend most of our time looking out of our face, while those we encounter are looking at our face. Accordingly, Jewish law teaches us that a pleasant smile is our social responsibility. In Pirkei Avot, famous rabbi called Shammai says, greet every person with a smile. And smiles are not just good for others, they are good for you too. According to science, smiles reduce stress and enhance the immune response. They make you look younger and more attractive. Smiling releases endorphins and serotonin, elevates the mood, and keeps you happier. And smiles are contagious. They light up the world. Like a candle, a smile can light many lights without itself being diminished. Shirley Garfinkel also had very strong values, specifically about doing the right thing no matter what. And we read in the Torah that towards the end of the life of Moses, he tells the people of Israel, you shall surely keep the mitzvot, the commandments of God, and you shall do what is right and good in the eyes of God. How do we do this right and good? Rashi suggests that it means that a person should strive to live his life lifnim mishurat hadin, beyond the letter of the law. We should not live on the edge of Jewish law, but rather we should put distance between ourselves and sin and transgression. The Ramban suggests that as the Torah cannot be summarized by any finite number of commandments, a person must always strive to do the right thing. The Ramban stresses that doing the right thing is a principle that must be reflected, like Shirley did, into everything that we do. Shirley was also known for her sense of humor. And even though I was told that she was never so good at telling jokes, her family noticed that she got better and better as she got older. And even though I now remember and reflect on the words of the songwriter Leonard Cohen, who wrote, "Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in," implying that there is not perfection in life. Well, sorry, Leonard Cohen, Shirley was a perfectionist. Because Judaism sets the bar high and encourages us to strive for greatness. The Torah commands us to emulate God. We are commanded to strive to emulate the character traits of God. The spiritual culture of Judaism is meant to inspire, uplift, and motivates us to become better people every day. Shirley was a very special person and a role model for her children and grandchildren. And now they're going to have the opportunity to eulogize her and to honor her life. I would like to start with this process of eulogizing Shirley by inviting Riza and Harvey to present the eulogies.
Hi, I'm Risa, Shirley's and Irv's daughter, and beside me is my mother's favorite son, my brother Harvey, who you're also going to hear from in a moment. We're here to pay tribute to our beloved mom, Shirley. Before doing so, I would like to thank you all for being here with us to honor my mom, especially those of you, and there are too many to list, that came in from out of town. My dad, Harvey, and I appreciate the support that you have all shown us. It's an honor for us to speak about my mom and share some wonderful memories with all of you. My mom was a kind, gentle, and caring person who was always interested in others, both their accomplishments and well-being. She related so well to people from all walks of life, seeing only the person and their goodness. She especially cherished her family, which for us not only includes parents, siblings, spouses, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, but also nieces, great-nieces, nephews, and great-nephews. She treated them all as if they were her own, and they in turn reciprocated. Thank you for all the love that you showed her. Her big sister, Sarah, who recently passed away, was her rock and her compass in life, as Harvey has been for me. They had such a wonderful, special relationship that my two daughters have always said they hope to grow up to be just like them, and I hope so too. My mom and dad recently celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary. They had 70 wonderful years together and were such great role models for us all. My mom was totally dedicated to my dad, probably more than he wanted at times, but she wanted him and us all to be the best we could possibly be. Her perfectionism always propelled us to greater heights and inspired us to be a better person, although at the time we probably didn't even appreciate it as we should have. I'm now going to turn it over to Harvey for some of his memories, and then I'll come back.
So the rabbi mentioned and Risa mentioned about her warmth and her smile, and it's amazing to me how many people have come up to me and said how much they just remember her smile. And even in the the last few months when she had trouble communicating in other ways really at any depth, she would sit in the hallway of the Shaftesbury after dinner, and she would just sit there and smile at all the people that came by. And so many people commented on that. It was her way of connecting, and it lit up our lives always. And family, of course, as we've said, is just huge to her. And I think in her last days, it was her main joy to just visits from friends and family. And my niece, Elkie, would always send pictures of Harley, her great-grandchild. And she would email her. She had a way of emailing it to this kind of picture frame, and it would just run through all the pictures. And she sent like 1 million of those pictures, and my mom could just sit there all day just looking at those pictures of Harley all day. It just meant so much to her, and the visits of all of her friends and her family that came by, it was her main joy. We talked about her humor. I think the rabbi already stole my story on that, but she used to try and tell jokes, and she was just awful at it. She would always have to ask my dad for the punchline in the middle, right? But she loved humor, and it's really surprising because the last couple years, all of a sudden, she could tell jokes, and she would come over to our house, often with Bob and Sheila. We would have them over to the house for a weekend dinner or something, and she would sit there and keep us in stitches, and it was hilarious because she could never tell jokes before, and all of a sudden she could. I'm going to get a little bit more personal here. My mom was my champion. She used to like to tell stories about how she protected me all the time, especially when I was little. She hated cats. She really didn't like cats. Sorry to tell you that, Eva, but she hated cats, as you probably know. And there's a story about me sitting in my high chair at our house in Inkster when I was first growing up, and how the door opened and this cat ran into the house and ran right onto the high chair. And she was so incensed by it, and she would never come near a cat or touch a cat or anything. And she always used to tell me how she saved me, how she grabbed this cat and took it away and put it outside. And she talks about that. I remember, I think I was in elementary school, and there was some big kid in the neighborhood who was kind of a bully, and I think he gave me a fat lip. I had a bleeding lip. I came home, and she was just incensed and just went around the neighborhood trying to find this kid. So she was always trying to, knocking on doors and things like that, and she was always my protector, but even more so, she was really my champion in another way too, as probably most of you know. She didn't like to talk about it. She'd probably be mad at me for talking about it now. But I was adopted when I was a few days old, and she never thought of me that way. I was her son. I was her baby. Even in the hospital, when I would go visit her in the hospital, she would introduce me to the doctor and the nurses and say, "This is my baby." I was 62 years old, and I was her baby. And she always talked about that way, and I really, I lucked out so much in being adopted by my parents and my family, and they were so loving and caring. And I, like her, was the youngest by far in the family, so I was spoiled like her too. So her sisters always said her sister and brother always said how much she was spoiled. Well, I was the same, right? But she did have very high expectations for us to do everything, and she gave us the encouragement and support, even when I didn't go according to her expectations, when I did my own thing, and she didn't really like it. But when she came around to understanding that's what I was doing, she was very supportive and always there to have my back, right? There were some, we always learn life lessons from our parents. I think some of the grandchildren are going to talk about that shortly. Hopefully I'm not repeating something they are. As the rabbi said, she had certain values, and family was probably the main thing for her. But she also really believed in the traditions of Judaism and passing that on. And she really, really did that. Lee remembers when we were first married, and Lee wasn't familiar with all the Jewish traditions and things, and my mom so gently and so lovingly tried to pass on as much as she could of that. She really remembers that. And she also talks about my mom doing the right thing, as the rabbi said. I think Lee at the time was having some problems with somebody, or can't even remember what is around, and my mom said to her, you always need to do the right thing, even if the other person isn't, and she really did live by that. And I think Lee really appreciated that and learned from that, and so did we all. I think that's all I have to say for now.
So in closing, thank you, Mom, for everything. You were such a classy lady, a wonderful homemaker, and as we've said over and over again, a great role model for Harvey and I and all our children. I will try to keep smiling, as you always coaxed me to do, and carry on your tradition of lighting up the room with your smile.
I just wanted to do some thank yous. First of all, to our care staff that have been helping out my mom and dad for the last couple of years already. They're just so attentive and caring and competent and supportive, and we really appreciate that. They really helped her through the last bit and helped us. So Elena, Trina, Nancy, Rowena, Luz, and some others that helped out at other times too, we really appreciate it. I'm thankful to have you. Wayne Manishin, Dr. Manishin, was my parents' doctor, and he really went above and beyond a lot of the time with his compassion and care and getting them in whenever they needed to, or even coming to see them. And I really appreciate that. And his assistant Lonnie in the office too, she was so nice with them all the time and so compassionate. I really appreciate that. The Shaftesbury staff have been great to my parents, particularly Jan, the nurse, especially the last little while, and Cynthia. She does the food and things there. She's in charge of that, but she helped my mom in so many ways and helped us when we needed it. The palliative care staff over the last week, they really helped keeping my mom comfortable and caring for her, and they were very efficient. Dr. Bruce Martin was the doctor, and he was very patient with us, explaining everything and addressing our concerns and fears and just showing some caring. And the nurses that were there checking on her every day, Jen particularly. And family and friends, thank you all for coming, for keeping in touch with her and visiting my parents all the time and supporting us here today, and hopefully keep her memory. So thank you very much all for coming.
Thank you, Risa and Harvey. Now it's time for the grandchildren to come forward to eulogize Shirley.
I'm Elke, Shirley's granddaughter.
And I'm Alana, Shirley's granddaughter.
I'm Ava, Shirley's granddaughter.
I'm Alex, Shirley's grandson.
I'm Max, Shirley's grandson.
So it's the little things that seem to stand out the most when remembering my Baba. Her pastel rollers as she milled about her house, her yummy, yummy poppy seed cookies, her soft, soft skin, wonderful hands. The way she would just take one little bite out of a chocolate and put it back because that was way too much for her. My first memories of her are her fingers stroking my back, playing a little game called I Draw a Snake Upon My Back, and guess which finger did it? And remembering that, I can't wait to share that with my own son. It's just the soft, gentle stroke of her fingers, so calming, so loving, and that big smile on her face as we always played.
And of course, one of my favorite memories is our Zeta singing his Yiddish songs at Pesach, and Baba translating and making sure to tell him how his Yiddish was all wrong. Arguably one of the best Jewish geographers around, our Baba had so much love and admiration for the people in her life, as you've heard. She taught us what it meant to love friends and family, and though Elkie and I don't live on the same street or in the same apartment building yet, I know her and Auntie Sarah will be laughing together with us when it happens. Her love was fierce, and she made each of us up here feel like superheroes anytime she got the chance.
Some of the most important lessons we've been taught in our lives have been ones that we learned from Baba. To always be kind and considerate to others, even when sometimes they don't extend the same kindness or consideration to you. To ask people about their lives because you never know what their stories are, or what they might have to tell you, or what connections you might find in common. How to tell if the chicken is properly cooked, that it's vital to wear socks with your shoes, and that family is the most important thing you have. As kids, Alex and I would go over to Baba and Zeta's for sleepovers on the weekend, and Baba would always make those weekends special by packing them full of activities and food. More often than not, when we left on Sunday afternoon, we'd have her wise advice and a bag of tiny chocolate bars with us. I'm sure that everyone here has memories much like ours. They're wonderful memories, something we will always have to cherish. There's one that I'm sure many of us have in common. For 9 decades, through our eyes, one of her main reasons for living was to feed people. She asked you if you wanted an orange 3 times in a row. After 3 insistent no's, an offer for something more appealing would be made, like cookies or chocolate, after which there was always a resounding yes.
She was the best testament to what living a life full of love, grace, and kindness truly means. She baked, she cooked, she babysat, took us shopping, was always so excited to see our new things. She was always present, even if it was just over the phone, a part of our everyday lives in such a tangible way.
She knew everyone's birthdays, anniversaries, yortzites. She was always calling and visiting to check in and wanted to make sure that she was up to date with the latest news about her family, her friends, and Jewish life.
Baba, you have impacted our lives in so many ways. You've shaped who we are, influenced us all so greatly. For your wisdom, your generosity, your compassion, your strength, and your love. Thank you, Baba. Thank you so much. We love you, and I know that we'll miss you every day of our lives.
Thank you very much for your words. May the memory of Shirley be a source of blessing and inspiration for all. And let us say, Amen. Please rise now for the memorial prayer, the El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem B'meroimim Ametze Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina V'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezohar HaRaki Amazirim Eden Ishemat Eden Ishemat Charna Vat Israel Ve'elka She'alecha Le'olama Ba'avur Shanu Mitpalelim Ve'ad Atzkarat Nishemata Began Eden dentei menujata lachem valarachamim יעשתי דאיה וסדר כנף לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים החיים את נשמת אדוני ונחלת ותנוח ושלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Shirley Garfinkel, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. So in a few minutes, we are going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Shari Zedek cemetery for the burial service. Immediately after burial, everybody is invited to participate of the meal of consolation that is not going to be here. It's going to be at the Shaftesbury. So just have that in mind in case you are not going to the cemetery. We are not going to return here. Meal of consolation is going to be at the Shaftesbury. Also, the Shiva is going to be at the Shaftesbury at the multipurpose room. It's going to be tonight, Monday evening, and Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And remember, it's going to be evening service there. The davening is going to be at 7 p.m. So again, Shiva, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. with the davening at 7 p.m. With that in mind, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit the room now to assume their places alongside the coffin. And while they exit, if you are coming to the cemetery, please remember to turn on your four-way flashers and please stop at stop sign and red lights. For all of us, please remember to remain in your seats until our funeral director is going to tell us when we can leave the room. Now I invite the immediate family to exit the chapel and to proceed to their transportation. That's our sign that it's time for us to leave the room now. Thank you all for coming.